He was my husband's son. Forbidden, dangerous, but every look stripped me bare. His presence burned, his silence teased, and the way he came closer at night made my body betray me. I swore I'd never give in. But he made the line between sin and desire disappear. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. I never thought life would put me in this position, standing on the edge of choices I swore I'd never make. My name is Lauren, and the moment I married Richard, I told myself I was safe, settled, and grounded. He was older, steady, the kind of man who anchored my restless heart. But I didn't expect his son, Tyler, to walk back into our lives and shake the foundation I thought I could trust. From the first day Tyler arrived, something changed inside me. It wasn't immediate recognition, more like a slow burn that grew stronger every time his eyes found mine. He wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man, and every step he took around me felt like a silent dare. I tried to ignore it, tried to remind myself who I was, who he was, what it meant. But ignoring him was like trying to ignore fire when it's already burning close to your skin. Richard thought nothing of it. He was happy to have his son under his roof again. They laughed together over dinner, caught up on old memories, and sometimes I'd watch them and feel a strange twist in my chest, knowing I was holding on to a dangerous secret. Because while Richard saw his son, I saw something else. Something I couldn't stop craving even though I hated myself for it. The first few weeks were filled with small moments that seemed innocent on the surface but carried undercurrents only I could feel. The brush of Tyler's arm when we passed each other in the hallway, the way his gaze lingered too long, the faint smirk on his lips when he caught me looking back. These were things Richard never noticed, but they haunted me. One night, Richard had gone to bed early, exhausted from work. I stayed up, restless, pacing through the living room while the TV played softly in the background. Tyler came down the stairs, his hair messy, wearing only a gray t-shirt and sweatpants. He paused when he saw me, then walked over slowly, his eyes locked on mine. "Can't sleep?" he asked, his voice low and calm. "Not really," I admitted, forcing a smile. He dropped onto the couch, stretching his arms across the backrest. His body relaxed, but his gaze intense. Me neither. For a long moment we just sat there, the silence charged. I could feel his warmth beside me, his presence sinking under my skin. I clutched the throw pillow tighter, as though it could protect me from what I was feeling. Then, out of nowhere, he leaned closer, close enough that his breath brushed my ear. "You look different at night," he whispered, his words slow, deliberate. My pulse shot through me like lightning. I turned my face away, pretending to adjust the blanket. "You should get some rest," I managed to say, though my voice trembled. Instead of pulling away, he let the silence hang. Then he stood and walked toward the stairs, pausing at the bottom. "Good night, Lauren," he said, his tone thick with meaning. That night I lay in bed wide awake, Richard's body warm beside me, while my mind replayed every second of what had just happened. I hated myself for wanting more. The next morning, Tyler acted as if nothing had happened. He ate breakfast, joked with Richard, and offered to help around the house. But every time our eyes met, I felt it. That heavy, unspoken pull between us. I tried to bury it under chores, under routine, under anything that would distract me. But nothing worked. It only got worse the day Richard left for a weekend trip. He trusted me to hold down the house, trusted Tyler to keep me company. The moment Richard's car pulled out of the driveway, I felt the weight of temptation press in. That evening I cooked dinner. Tyler lingered in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, watching me with a focus that made my hands tremble. He teased me lightly about burning the garlic bread, but his eyes told a different story. They weren't teasing. They were hungry. We ate together at the dining table, the air thick with silence. Every time I looked up, he was already watching me. Afterward, when I started cleaning up, he came over to help, standing close enough that his shoulder brushed mine. The contact sent a shiver racing down my spine. "Relax," he said softly, his voice almost a murmur against my skin. "I'm just helping." But it didn't feel like just helping. It felt like a test, a line daring to be crossed. I dropped the dish towel and stepped back quickly. "I can handle it," I whispered. His smirk said he knew exactly what I was running from. Later that night, I tried to hide in my room, reading a book to distract myself. But the words blurred on the page, and I kept hearing footsteps in the hallway. Finally, there was a knock. I froze, my heart hammering. "Lauren!" Tyler's voice came through the door. "Can I ask you something?" I hesitated, then opened the door a crack. He stood there, leaning casually against the frame, but his eyes burned into mine. "Yeah?" I asked, trying to sound calm. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he studied me with that same quiet intensity that always undid me. Finally, he said, "Why do you always run from me?" My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. "You know exactly what I mean," he said, stepping closer. I gripped the edge of the door, torn between slamming it shut and pulling him inside. My body screamed for one, my mind begged for the other. "I don't," I lied, my voice cracking. He leaned in just enough for me to feel his breath. "You want me to believe that?" For a heartbeat, the world stopped. I could hear nothing but the pounding of my heart, feel nothing but the pull between us. Then, with every ounce of strength I had left, I whispered, "You should go to bed." And I shut the door. But even as I leaned against it, trembling, I knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a storm neither of us could escape. The days that followed were unbearable. Every glance, every word, every brush of his hand felt like fire. I kept telling myself I would never cross the line, that I had to hold on to my marriage, to my vows. But the truth was, the line was fading fast. One night it finally broke. Richard was gone again on business, and the house was quiet except for the sound of rain against the windows. I was in the living room, curled up with a blanket, when Tyler came in. He didn't say a word at first, just sat across from me, his gaze locked on mine. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Finally, he stood and walked over, stopping just inches away. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. My body betrayed me, leaning toward him instead of away. And in that moment, I realized the truth I had been running from all along. I never wanted to cross the line, but Tyler made it impossible to stay away.